Just because it's a classic doesn't mean it's not tasty. Let me show you how to make a Blackthorn number 3. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Matt, I'm the Whiskey Nerd, and like I said, this week I'm making a Blackthorn number 3, a cocktail that, while it might be classic, while it might be a little bit old, it's still very, very tasty and definitely worth trying. This recipe comes from the 1922 book by Robert Vermeire. His book was called Cocktails, How to Make Them, so it's quite straightforward, but it's very, very classic. It has loads of really, really classic cocktail recipes and variations of them, and that's what this is right here, the Blackthorn number 3. The original Blackthorn is a kind of a gin-based cocktail, but the number 3 version of it, sometimes called an Irish Blackthorn, calls for Irish whiskey. For my Irish whiskey, I'm using this one right here from the Ahascragh Distillery. This is the Uais Whiskey. It's a very nice blended whiskey that uses 50% grain whiskey, 25% malt whiskey, and 25% pot still whiskey. So it's got this nice kind of base of kind of almost caramelly sweetness, topped up with some biscuity notes and a little bit of spice. It does come in at 43% ABV, so it's not down at that 40% floor. It just helps it deliver a little bit more flavor into the final cocktail. The recipe also calls for some dry vermouth. I've got the martini extra dry here because I just want to have a little bit more botanical herbal notes into the cocktail. Now, the original recipe from 1922 does call for Angostura Bitters. Now, I've seen some people online say that if you actually add some Boker's bitters or Boker style bitters, these ones here from the Fee Brothers, the cardamom style Boker's bitters, apparently makes for a nicer, kind of more rounded out cocktail. I don't have the original specs. I mean, they called for a half a gill of whiskey, whatever a gill is. So modern day variations kind of twist and shake a little bit. So I'm using the Boker's bitters, but if you want, you can use the classic Angostura bitters. Lastly, it is a little bit of absinthe. This is not orange bitters, it's just an old Dashes bottle that I put some of my absinthe in, so I can add a couple of dashes of absinthe to the cocktail. And that's enough talking about the cocktail. I think it's time we make it. It is going to be a stirred drink, so we're going to get our mixing glass and we're going to pop a nice rock of ice into there before we measure our ingredients. Starting off with our lovely Irish whiskey. We're going to go in with 45 ml or an ounce and a half of our whiskey. Like I said, this is quite sweet and rounded with a bit of caramel and a nice bit of spice. So that's why I wanted to go in with the extra dry vermouth, which I'll use next, because with that extra bit of sweetness, I wanted to just have a little bit more botanical note to kind of balance it all out. Like I said, this is the Martini Rosso, or Martini and Rosso, I think is the name of the brand. It's just the Martini extra dry vermouth. 45 ml of this into here. If you don't like extra dry, you could use other vermouths. I'm sure very different vermouths will give different results, but me, I'm using that one right there. That's 45 ml in there. Next up, it's our bitters, our Boker style cardamom bitters. Going to go in with 2 dashes of that. 1, 2, into there. And then our absinthe. That's going to round it out, add a little bit of kind of licorice, kind of more herbal botanical notes. They'll just really nice. So I'm going to go in 1, 2 dashes of absinthe. This is from the Rebel City Distillery here in Ireland, where you can use whatever absinthe you want. So we're going to stir it down for about 30 seconds to get it nice and chilled. Okay, I can feel from the outside of the glass that this is nicely chilled now, so we're going to get ready to strain it out into a nicely chilled Nick and Nora glass. So we're going to just pop our little strainer up top and pour it out, just like that. Very simple. Into there, get a nice good wash line, and for a garnish we're going to go in with a lemon peel. Just express the oils over the top, give it a little bit of a rub, and pop this just like that, just there. And that right there is a Blackthorn number 3. Now real quick before I taste this cocktail, if you're new here, scroll down, hit that thumbs up button, hit that subscribe button. I put out cocktail recipes featuring whiskey every Friday, and I put out whiskey reviews like the review of that Uais whiskey every Wednesday. If you want to see the review of that Uais whiskey, there'll be a link in the description below, and I'll try and remember to put a link up there. But right now, let's taste this cocktail. Cheers. As you bring it up to your mouth, you actually get this kind of like citrusy, lemony vibe, and that's really amped up here with that little bit of the lemon peel there. You get that nice kind of quite citrusy kind of feeling. Like that extra dry vermouth has this kind of citrus, botanical note to it, and that really works here with the whiskey. The whiskey here gives you a nice bit of sweetness, nice bit of roundness, and then the cardamom bitters and a little bit of absinthe really work together to kind of pull it all together and give it a bit of a backbone. It's similar kind of in style to like things like a Manhattan, but it's less kind of like deep and dark, like where a Manhattan is dark and spicy and botanical. This is a little bit lighter, a little bit fresher, a little bit more maybe fragrant and floral. It's that kind of like lighter note than that darker, deeper note you expect in a Manhattan. But have you tried Blackthorn cocktails? Have you tried the Blackthorn 1, 2, 3, 4 or whatever number? If you have a particular favorite, let me know down below. If you prefer your Blackthorns with Angostura bitters or with Boker's bitters, let me know. But right now, I'm going to keep on enjoying this cocktail and I will see you next time. Sláinte.